Welcome, guys, to the latest edition of the SimFBallCritic Podcast. If I'm not mistaken, episode 204. And let me pause everything on the computer so you guys are not hearing a double sound. But I think you guys will hear me a lot better this time. I figured out some things, some different settings and such on OBS, so it shouldn't be much of a problem with you guys hearing me. I know last week some of you guys said I was sounding a little far away. But again, guys, just trying to get used to the whole PC aspect. You know, I was mainly doing things on Mac, so I think everything is cool now. So welcome to the show. Looks like we are live. So yep, I see somebody's already commented. Deron, if you want to come on, man, we'll bring you on immediately. Give you a few moments. The reason why I say that is because, you know, we also have guests coming on tonight. Sony Weaver from the Verts Podcast. He's done a lot of work. Great work, actually, with analyzing the ratings and such. And he wants to come on and share that. I'm sure he'll mention as well the EA Access tournament that those guys are running over at the NBL. So we want to get him on. But I promised you last week that we would get you on as soon as possible. So if you want to come on, let me know right now. We'll bring you on for a moment there. And then, you know, after that, we'll have Sonny come on. And for everybody who's wondering what the topics will be tonight, man, pretty simple tonight, and you know, if it takes 2 hours, it does. If it doesn't, it's all good. But we're definitely gonna let Sonny come on and do his thing. But then, of course, me and Smitty will give our thoughts on the the latest shakeup in the Madden development. I don't even know what to call it, adventure or fiasco. I don't know. But we all know, in case some of you guys don't know, Carlos Guerrero, who was the guy who was, I guess you would kind of say, taking over for Rex, even though if I'm not mistaken, I think the titles were a little different. But maybe before Rex left, he might have actually been the senior producer. But anyway, fast forward to Carlos Guerrero. This guy was coming in as the senior producer, came from BioWare, if I'm not mistaken. Did the interview with Zan. A lot of you guys saw that. You know, had some promising things to say. Shook up the CFM community by sounding a little nonchalant, by not being able to please the CFM community. And lo and behold, now the news comes out that he's no longer with EA. So we'll dive into that here, you know, in the second half. So let me go ahead and get Deron on. I'm going to shoot you your invite really quick, man. Let me do that. And y'all might see it happen, play out on screen, because we're doing it in Skype. So you might, yeah, I see it. You're probably going to see me adding a new caller and such. So bear with me with that as we get that rolling. But while we're doing that, Smitty, what's up, man? How's everything been going? How was your week, man?
Week was pretty good. You know, it's seeing all this free agency stuff unfold. So definitely liking everything going on here. You know, seeing the swap happen. You know, with
wow. So all I can say is wow.
Tomorrow, you know, yeah, I know, that's crazy. So that's wild. You know, like you just get in, you just get on the you just got told by the player president or what have you, you know, GM, the Toronto, you know, like, oh, you're not getting traded, don't worry about it. And then my man just gets shipped out. You know, and it's crazy, but I will say that, I mean, even though it's jacked up, that's the circumstances messed up, but at the same time, he's going to a great situation in San Antonio. So it's not like he's getting shipped off to a bad team. You know, now the bad part about it for DeRozan is that he's going to have to face LeBron again. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's going to be the bad part. But otherwise, though, I mean, you know, Kawhi gonna have to play. Like, even though he doesn't want to be in Toronto, he's gonna have to play. Because if he sits out the year, like they said on like First Take and all that, if he sits out the year, according to the CBA, he won't be eligible for free agency. So basically they can still withhold him for yet another season. Plus, he'll miss out on that money. So I mean, he sit on his hands. He won't get paid. He's supposed to get 20 mil, like I think 20 mil this year. So you got to at least prove that you're valuable. You know, prove that you legitimately still got it. Then, you know, make yourself valuable for free agency because you already done left a good amount of money on the table already. So you don't want to leave any more money on the table because of what's going on with this situation. So, but we'll see. You know, like I said, it's shaping up to be a good NBA offseason. You know, and also with you know, live dropping a trailer, 2K posting their screenshots and all that good stuff. Yo, hey, good basketball stuff going on in the midst of football starting to ramp up. So it's about to be on and popping in a few weeks, especially with Madden getting ready to drop, you know, in about 2 weeks' time. So can't wait. Good times right now. Good times.
Absolutely, man. And before we continue, like, again, guys, let me give you the quick lineup. You know, I know in the title we talk about the ratings deep dive. We're going to bring Sony Weaver on here in a moment, but we got our guy, Deron Smith, here, man. Happy to have him on. I know he's been asking for a couple of weeks, and it's kind of been of an oversight on our part, so we apologize for that, man. But floor is yours here for now, man. Whatever you wanted to discuss last week or this week, go ahead, man. And welcome.
Well, oh, thank you, man. Hey, and like I said, I wasn't mad or anything about it. I know once we get into our discussions and stuff, it's like hard to remember. Hey, oh shoot, somebody asked to come on. Right. I gotta start remembering to like hit y'all up, you know, like an hour or a half an hour before, you know, to see if it's okay for me to come on. And excuse the noise in the background. My son and my nephew over there playing.
Hey, we got kids, man.
Oh, you good, man?
We know.
What? And as you hear, they screaming hi to y'all.
Hey, little guys, how y'all doing? All right, that's good.
But kind of piggyback what you said about the ratings last week. So one person in that I can't stand how they do his ratings for the past 2 years now is Roosevelt Knicks.
Oh man, yes. Speak on it.
Well, that was the first thing when I seen the ratings drop. That was the first thing that I went to go look at. This cat. Now I ain't saying that he's the best fullback in the league, but he deserves to at least his run blocking to be a 75. His lead block, at least a 78. Because if you look like, and I'm just going off of film, if you look at when he's pulling for Le'Veon Bell averages 4 to 7 yards when he's pulling for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get how they did that rating when Le'Veon Bell by itself, you know, is averaging about 3 to 5, you know, but from 4 to 7 yards when he got his fullback blocking, I'm sorry, his rating deserves to be higher. And then, just like, I mean, now a lot of people get on Bud Dupree. They saying, oh, you know, they saying he's a dud, he's this, he's that.
Dud Dupree.
Look at his stats. His sacks from every year has went up. See, that's what a lot of people ain't looking at.
They have.
Is that and even in last year when he missed some games, but I believe he still ended with like 7 or 8 sacks. I have to go and double check, but he still ended with that amount. And everybody's still saying, you know, oh, he sucks. And I know people who plays Madden, but that's one of the first people that they're trading.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's...
I'm too much of a diehard like that. That's why I be losing sometimes. I don't be doing no trade.
No, only time I would... If I do a trade, it's a trade to get myself a kick returner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I can't... I'll never trade Antonio Brown. I can't do that. You got to give me... 6 years of first-round draft picks to get Antonio Brown for me. and then some. But just like with the ratings, I understand, how they doing it and everything, which is cool. It's really cool. But y'all gotta look more into it. I like how you said last week. Is this being predicted, or is they going off of how they did last year? Because if they're going off of how they did last year, I feel personally, Juju Smith-Schuster should be at least a 83 or 84, because I think that he's like an 81.
Yeah,
it's
I
been
gotta
a couple
take a
days.
look. I gotta look. I can't remember his rating right offhand.
But I know he was productive last year, big time productive, and people just, all right, let's brush him off. And like the whole 9 yards with it. I just going down the list. Yes, Vince Williams, he ain't a dynamic middle linebacker, but he don't deserve. I believe they got him at a 72. Give him at least a 78, because his reaction speed is on point. He may not be able to get there, but you can tell if he had a little bit more speed, he'd be right there. He reacts good. He plays the holes perfectly. He kind of remind me of a Larry Foote type player, who you ain't get him in coverage. That you might be able to get him in coverage, but in running, you wasn't gonna trick him because he was able to read running backs easily. So I mean, this year it's going. I got my EA access. I can't wait for I believe it's either 5 days or 10 days prior we get that early access on it, which I tell everybody who's watching this, go get EA access. If you are a true Madden fan, get EA access. Go get they got in the vault all the way back to Madden 15. If you really want to see how Madden has progressed, download all those Maddens and go and play a game in each and every last one of them. You will see where things have changed, how things have gotten better. A lot of people say that they don't like the realism of, you can trip over your own player. They wanted it back to where it's arcade, where no matter what, you can bust out every play, 30, 40-yard run. Nah, I love a challenge. To the fact of the matter of, I ain't gonna lie, Sam, I stole your player skill thing that you have. Yeah, I'm using that, and I love it. I got smacked. I'm not gonna lie to you. I got smacked. I'm in year like 5, and the Browns are going like 12-4, and yeah, I was doing good. I was undefeated. The Browns came in. I got killed.
Browns is a problem with them sliders, man.
Man.
Wait till let me be Smitty knows. We did a little bit of testing.
You got me scared for Madden 19.
Hey,
yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That's gonna be interesting.
I'm already ready out the gate, Sim. I'm already ready out the gate.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with yours to start off.
Yeah.
And see, and that's what I've been doing. Like, I've been playing Cast Online, played my friends and stuff, and they're like, dude, how come you're so good at Madden? Because they want to play on that all pro or pro setting, and I'm killing them by like 6 touchdowns. And then they playing it on also the slow pace. I love how Madden has that, where you have to have your reaction time on point. I play at very fast. I can't play at anything else. But
yeah, man.
It's just, and that's the other thing. Like I was watching a YouTuber that y'all probably know, RBT.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was watching him, and he went back to Madden 9, doing the whole superstar mode. I forgot how much I missed that. the fact of the matter of, and I ain't gonna lie, I was one of the cats like, man, when I got drafted, man, I wish I could have got drafted to the Steelers. But now that, you know, I can pick where I can go, I'm like, that's not showing how good of a player I am. That I can shoot. Now, if they would make it to where, you know, you go through all that and say you suck, you blow the whole combine and everything. Your stats are terrible, and you go undrafted. Make it to where certain teams, you know, still like you, and you can go and sign with them. But I wanted it to be a challenge. I actually would love, and y'all tell me if y'all would like this, an online superstar mode. Kind of like how...
Yeah.
Kind of like... What'd you say?
Yeah, I say, yeah, like, I'll be with it. But, you know, the thing is, see, everything you're saying we agree with, and we've said before, like, we want it to be extremely challenging. We want it to be like that. But the only issue is that you have people out here that want to win. You know, they want to be able to succeed regardless of the circumstance.
Right.
That's why when you look at, for example, you even look at NBA 2K. Remember when they had My Career and your player started off like at like 40 overall or whatever, 30 or something like that, like extremely low rated, and you actually, and you know, of course you couldn't VC your way up, but the bottom line was that you would get sent to the D League and all that. People didn't like that. They didn't like getting sent to the D League. That's why they ain't in there no more. That's why you just play the summer league and then you play on the team and that's it. There's no getting sent down, all that. See, people don't like to have to actually deal with that stuff, even though that's realistic, but they don't want that stuff to happen. And it's, you know, but I wish it would happen and then just make people have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to be the best in the land, you got to prove it. You know what I mean? Just like if you do an online superstar mode, you got a league of 30 people playing whatever position they playing at. There ain't gonna be no easy route. You know what I'm saying? So, like, now that would be sweet if they had, but this would be like other licensing involved. But if they had other leagues and stuff in it too, so it's like you got cut from the NFL. All right, I'm gonna go play in the CFL then. Get my weight up over there. And then I'm going to make sure they want me back in the NFL. Not just I get cut and I go to this other team and start. Like, no. You got to go over here now. Or you get demoted and you get sent to the, you know, to your practice squad, or you get signed on to a practice squad. Let's say you get injured. You got to get onto that practice squad. Now you got to make the team. You went from guaranteed I'm going to get signed. Now you got to make it and you're a practice guy. Work your way up through those levels. Then you get on the team. See, stuff like that, you be messing around and went dang near the whole season just trying to get on the main squad. Who want to play that game? I bet you there's people in this chat that wouldn't want to get down like that. See what I'm saying? I would embrace that. But that's the thing. A game like that, you got to have an audience that, number one, it's got to be worthwhile investment, because we look at it from a development standpoint. It's got to be something people want to do. People will actually play and actually devote the time, because they'll look at the metrics and they're like, well, if there's a small number of people playing it, it's a failure. If other people don't, and if people don't really like it and they want it to be more of a traditional like Madden 06 kind of way and such, like Madden 09 even, that's how they're going to mess around and do it. Make it in that way, and then just you know, branch it out a little bit more in that regard. But I'm with you all the way on it. It's just making it a realistic challenge. Make it tough. Make people have to put the work in and build their character up, man. The way it happens for people in the NFL, because what people complain about authenticity all day. So it's like, okay, cool. Put the authenticity in there, and let's see how many people are actually going to rock with it. That'd be my take. Or make people do it.
Yeah. I mean, and like you saying, I miss the whole skill challenges and stuff like that when it comes down to it, especially during the season. Like how y'all was talking, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, or no, it was last week. How you draft somebody that you didn't even scout. Well, now you gotta put them through the practices. You gotta see, okay, well, I got this cat, you know. In college, he had all his stats was this. Let's see how those hands is. You know, he had these drops, but the reporters say that he's been working all summer on his hands. Well, let's put him through the catching drills. I know everybody remember those catching drills.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And even the other thing, I want steps to the scouting. I want it to be where if me and you are in the same league, if all of us are in the same league and we doing scouting, I focus on kind of like how college was, where you would send the coaches, you will send this, you'll send that, and the more you go, the more information you get about that player. So where we got the question marks on everything else, because now by scouting players, you scout 3 things. It's their top 3 things. Woo. I want to be more in depth. I want to know, is this cat injury prone? I want to know. I'm not gonna. I want them to bring back holdouts. I don't know if y'all remember holdouts.
Yep. Madden 04, I think they had them.
Yeah,
05.
I want holdouts. I want it to be like how 2K has it, or even live. How when you do your franchise mode, players, if you're the head coach, the players are coming to you and saying, hey, I'm not liking the amount of playing time I'm getting. I wish the ball would get thrown to me more. And then you're like, all right, we'll try to work that into the game plan for next week.
Yep. Play them around.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that right there was fun for me. Because if you're looking at, you got the drive goals and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. I like that. But at the same time, who's going to give up? They got a breakaway. They see Antonio Brown wide open, but Juju Smith-Schuster needs another catch to get 25. I'm going to Antonio Brown for the touchdown. I want it to be where players start to get mad, like the NFL, like how Antonio Brown did when he threw the Gatorade bottle on the sideline because he was mad. How Dez Bryant got mad, and if I remember one game, it was 2 minutes left in the game. He actually walked off because that whole drive, they didn't throw him the ball not once, and he said that he was wide open. I want that. I want the whole thing to where chemistry. The more you play with your team, and make it to where people want to go to practices, because how y'all have put it, Roethlisberger. If Roethlisberger and AB is on it, and it's a clutch moment, their stats go up because they have that chemistry. I want it to where the offensive line, as a group, let's say they have thrown about, I want to say 250 yards, no touchdown, no interceptions. They have given up no sacks. I want the chemistry with them. Their stats go up to where now you have to worry about, okay, I can't let these cats get on a hot streak. Because I remember when Madden actually had that, where they had the cold streaks and hot streaks. I don't know if they still had it last year. I don't think they had it.
It's been a minute since they had those. Since like Madden 12.
I think we just don't see it. I have a feeling that they're still there somewhere.
See, that needs to be on the surface. Like that needs to be on the surface though, not under the hood. Like, oh, they're hot right now. Like, no, got to see that.
Yeah.
The game doesn't lend visual. It doesn't lend nearly enough visual credence to put that underneath the hood. So you got to put that on the surface, man. If that's the case at all.
And then make it, because I mean, let's be real. Who actually uses the pump fake? I know I don't.
I use it from time to time, not all the time though.
But if you got somebody like Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, who they murdered players with their pump fake, make it to where I don't say pump fake has to be a flat out rating, but make it to where, if they do that, they're going to make the defense have to react on them. If you doing, let's say you threw 6 completions. All right, you hit that pump fake, you're gonna freeze up whatever defender is covering your wide receiver. Because if it ain't somebody, if they're lower, like I hate to give knock on my boy, but Artie Burns, he will bite on a pump fake from a 2-year-old. I've watched it. They have gotten him on some easy pump. It's like, dude, that pump fake, I wouldn't even have bid on. He moved his arm like 3 inches, just went like this.
Hey man,
he bites.
It's easy for us to say that sitting on the couch. I'm just saying.
Well, you're right.
I mean,
I did play defensive end and outside linebacker, but that was back in the day. Yeah. I'm just saying, it's just like looking like, come on, man, you're in the NFL, man.
No, I
understand you trying to make those plays, but I want them to bring that type of stuff in it. I want to be able to sit there, and that's why I have arguments with 2K people all day, because they say, "Oh, 2K is better." I said, "Why? Explain to me this why." They was like, "Well, with Madden, man, you gotta do all this, you gotta do all that." I was like, "So because Madden make you use your brain, 2K is better." They was like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "See, that's what's stupid. I like having to strategize to go up against somebody. If I can jump on 2K and I ain't gotta run no plays, no nothing. Just, all right, well, I'm playing with, say, the Lakers next year. All right, well, I seen LeBron's down there at the inside the post. I'm gonna just pass the ball to LeBron. Okay, he has a 50-50 chance of making it. There's no strategizing in 2K. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can play it with strategy, but you don't have to. That's very true. That's extremely valid point. And that's been proven by, the community says it themselves. So,
and the other thing that I'm glad that Madden has not done, and I'm praying that they do not, is make it to where you can buy how 2K is when you buy that VC just to up your player stats.
Yeah,
that's I can't get into 2K anymore. I bought 2K. 2 days later, I sold it. That whole aspect of it, like I can buy all this VC and I jump from a 70 overall to an 82, just like that. No, and so I've been playing live. I'm sorry, I like to grind.
See, here we go, man. Looking at the comments, and let me say this, man. We're gonna need to jump to the next thing here with Sonny. So, Deron, if you got anything else, really quick. But let me say, guys, this is not an EA versus 2K. I know people have their own opinions, but let's not get sidetracked by that. We don't even want to go down that road tonight.
Oh yeah, it's nothing against 2K, y'all. Nothing. Only thing I'm talking about is the difference of the player experience. Everybody got different player experiences, and like how I am with Madden, I'm just as hard on 2K or anything else.
Yeah,
I'm a gamer first. I'm in the business of making video games my own self. I want all of us to have a good time, because if we don't have a good time and we don't speak our minds and really be vocal about it, corporate world is gonna go and take over, and we're gonna be having people that don't even play games trying to put their hands in our gaming world, and I know none of us want that.
No, indeed.
But I thank y'all for having me on, man.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you for patiently waiting. Sorry for going on my rant a little bit too long.
Nah, man, you was good. That was 3 weeks worth.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, like always, we appreciate you coming on, man. Anytime you want to come back on, you'll be welcome. And there you have it, man. So, next on the agenda, guys, as you see me zoom in on his face there, I know that sounds a little crazy, but we got Sonny, man, from the 4 Verts. I always mess up the name, even when I'm looking for it. T4 Verts is how I remember it. 4 Verts Podcast, MBL member, as you can see with the hat. But he has some interesting things that he wants to discuss tonight in regards to ratings, so I'm not even going to take the shine away. So first and foremost, welcome again, Sonny, and man, the floor is yours, brother.
Oh, hey, thanks. I appreciate you having me. Just wanted to get it out there, been tweeting it out on the Twitter account at T4Verts for you guys. Some of you guys I know have actually already looked at these, but I figured we'd just run down some of these things and talk about some interesting stuff here, because definitely dropped in there. And I don't know, Sim, have you gotten to look at them a little bit yet?
Yeah, a little bit. You guys are probably seeing it on the screen. I'm running a little, slideshow here now, so you guys can see some of them. Not them all, but yeah, I've taken a look at some of them.
Okay, so let's maybe talk about your Steelers a little bit, right? And we'll go from here and maybe throw out a little bit about what's going on.
Don't get me mad now. Don't piss me off. So.
Yeah. We'll talk about your Madden Steelers. That's what we'll talk about. So what I did was I took a deep dive into some of the ratings, right? So I took all the ratings and took them out of an Excel spreadsheet and started running them through some formulas. And so some of the formulas you're going to see on there, you've got weapons. And so what weapons are is they're the offensive positions from 11 personnel. For you that don't know what that is, it's 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 halfback, right? And I took the OVRs from those, averaged them out, and then compared them to every other team on the game. For O-line, I took the run blocking and pass blocking of every starter, projected starter, and then averaged those out and ranked them as well. We've got the pass rush. Now, pass rush, I used the stat that I created called optimal rush. Now, what optimal rush is basically if everybody was using their best pass rushing stat from your base 4 rush, right? So 3-4, you got your 2 defensive ends, your 2 outside linebackers. Your 4-3, you've got your 2 defensive ends, 2 defensive tackles, right? So I took all of that, took their best stat, averaged those out, and came up with the optimal rush stat. And then I've got a couple other on there, coverages averaged out. Offensive, defensive speed, and then something that I really like that if you're in a CFM, you're really going to want to check out is the Youth Power Index. All right. So the Youth Power Index, this is kind of a cool thing. What it is it takes all the players 26 and under on a team and then assigns them into a bucket for ratings, right? So basically, if you're a more higher rated player, you get more value. If you're a lower rated player but still under 26, you get a lesser value. And that number got added up and then compared across the league to determine what's the best young teams out there. And so with all of that, where's Q to translate? I like it. Hey, I'm Pro Football Focus for Madden, right? So what I did was I took all those stats, right, averaged them together, and I came up with what I like to say is the best teams for somebody in a CFM to use to basically decide who they want to be, right?
Here we go, still. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay, well, we're getting there. So one thing you're not going to see on there, and everybody's asked me about, is where's the quarterbacks, right? Why aren't quarterbacks on there? Why haven't quarterbacks been, in this evaluation process? And the reason I pulled quarterbacks out, quarterbacks are the one position in Madden that, yes, ratings have a little bit of impact, but they're almost completely user-based, right? So bad quarterbacks, are good if you're a good, you've got good field vision, you know what to do, right? You know the right play call. Good quarterbacks can be bad if you really don't know what you're doing. So I pulled those out because I wanted to get a good idea of what the best teams were. So now let's dive into your Steelers here, right? So I'll get into some interesting thoughts, but we'll give Sim a little schooling on his Steelers here. Now, you look at the Steelers and a couple things pop up to me, right? Their weapons, obviously top 5 in the league. They're ranked number 4 in my ratings, just behind the Philadelphia Eagles. They took a little hit at tight end. Obviously, Tight ends, the one issue where they got some struggles. And then it's slot receiver, right? They drafted the kid out of Oklahoma State, I think Washington.
Yeah.
He's not quite up there yet, so you're going to have to watch him a little bit. But I think that offensive weapons could be number one within a couple weeks, depending on how Washington and Jesse James move there. You slide over, their O-line is the third best rated O-line in the league based on pass blocking and run blocking. So awareness pulled out because awareness is a stat that can move up and down really easily. But pass blocking, run blocking wise, the Steelers O-line is rated third in the league, only behind the Eagles and the Cowboys. And then sliding across, this is where the Steelers are interesting. They're very middle of the road across the rest of their ratings, but that's good compared to a lot of teams because a lot of teams have a fault, right? The Steelers don't have a lot of faults. They just have some average things going on here. And I think that's really what solidifies them as being, one of the better teams. Youth power index, for instance, right? I look out to the youth power index here for the Steelers. Let me pull my Steelers box here, right? So I got to the youth power index, right? And they scored a 5 on the youth power index. Well, to put in perspective, the top score there is the Jaguars at 8.75. Bottom score is the Seahawks at 1.75. So Steelers are literally dead center in the middle. And the reason that is they've only got one player 90 plus under 26 years old, but they do have 2 in that 85 to 89 range and 4 in the 80 to 84 range. And so, there's a lot of things going on there with the Steelers. But I would tell you overall, it's a pretty good team, right? So it's a team that doesn't have flaws. It's going to be solid. It's going to be explosive offensively because those weapons and that pass blocking. And really, when you start looking at the future there, they've got a pretty good future. They've got some nice, young, highly rated guys that I think going forward, you're going to be pretty set shop.
I hope so. We'll see. Even though that is not going to help the way I play. So,
yeah, for sure.
We have some beasts in our league, but it's enjoyable, man. Much enjoyable. Guys, do you have any questions? I know Smitty does, so while he's speaking, let me say this real quick. What questions do you have for Sonny, man? I'm sure he's watching the chat. Shoot him out, and he's here to give you his insight on the great work that he's done with the ratings. Go ahead, Smitty.
I'm about to say, now I know Sim, if you're talking about some getting frustrated. Look at Detroit. You know what I'm saying on this list, and look at those numbers across the board there. I mean, it's legit. Our pass rush, we couldn't generate a pass rush, so that's very valid. I mean, we don't have that many players that are popping like that across the whole board. It's kind of more of a balanced spread, but we're like 29th on the youth power index. That's coverage is our saving grace defensively. Offensive line, we're not that bad, but we have to establish that run game. And I mean, it makes sense being somewhere in the middle of the pack because of we were decent with pass protection, but that was pretty much it. We were just one half. So putting them in the middle like that makes sense, but golly, geez, man, that pass rush, boy, I seriously hope, man, Kerry Hyder does some work for us because we need some real help on that, man.
30, they got him at 30. Woo!
That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Smitty, let's talk about those lines a little bit, right? Because I know I got Bomber in here, and he's a big Lions fan, NBL Lions, and so we'll talk about those lines a little bit because I think when I look at the Lions. One thing that pops out to me is that youth power index of 29, right? Youth power index of 29, which means you guys don't have young talent, right? You have talent that's kind of old, and that's going to come back to get you guys. You've got 2 guys under 26 that are between 80 and 84, and then 7 between that 75 to 79, and that's it, right? So you don't have a lot going on for you in the future, so you're going to have to make some quick changes there if you want to stay relevant long term. You go to that defensive side. You talked about the pass rush. Their pass rush does struggle. Finesse move more so than power move, it looks like. You guys ranked one of the worst in the league in finesse move. So, I got to tell you, Smitty, you better draft well. Yeah, you better draft well because that team's got serious issues.
It's a rebuilding process no matter what. I mean, there's no going around that. So it's going to be a mix of free agency, drafting people, moving people. Yeah. I'm trying to be a Danny Ainge in this dang on Lions organization. Just get picks and get some good pieces. Hopefully find some value, especially with the scheme and everything. I'm going to see how it works out with Patricia's scheme, see how things unfold during the season. I may have to switch things up, but, I want to keep everything as relevant as possible as far as building my squad. But I already know off top, it's gonna be a hard grind. I ain't expecting too much with these guys, but at least playoffs, maybe a first round win. Just like real life. That's what my expectations at with this team here, man. It's rough. So
look at the Patriots and the Bills' offensive speed.
Yeah. We'll jump into speed here in a second. Whale421 says, how can I get the chart? So right now, all of them are tweeted out on my Twitter at T4Verts. So you can go there and you can look through the tweets from the last couple of days. You'll see them there. They're also going to go up onto Madden Bomber League's website, 365.maddenbomberleague.com. There'll be a page on there with all the charts and easy to read format. And I suggest while you guys are there, shameless plug here, we're running an EA Access tournament. It's a charity tournament. I suggest you guys go check it out. 64-man tournament during EA Access. We're going to have a 12-hour live stream on day one. Over $2,000 in prizes given away. It's free to enter, right? So I suggest you guys go out there and go check that out. And then the prizes will be for subscribers as well as players. So make sure you watch, and then we're going to make a large donation. I'm thinking it's going to be about $1,000 plus to Operation Homefront, who supports the troops. So, hey, check it out. It's a good time.
Absolutely, man. Definitely check if you're on, and they're on Xbox, by the way. So,
yeah.
Definitely get involved with that, man. Show some love. Help with the charity and things of that nature. So, yeah, that's great stuff, man. Any more questions, man? Roll with the. See, people are always saying they have questions, Sonny, and when you're live, it's like you don't hear nothing. Come on with the questions, folks.
Hey, it's all right. Hey, I got some observations here. So let's talk about some things that people probably weren't expecting. Everybody expected, I think, the Colts to be rated probably the worst team coming into this Madden, Jets, Colts, something like that. But who was prepared for the Seahawks? The Seattle Seahawks fall from grace down to 31 right now in my ratings. And if you look across that board, it's really not even close. The only thing they have going for them in the top 10, or even the top 20 for that matter, is their defensive speed. They are number 32 on the Youth Power Index. They have no young talent out there in Seattle. They've got a lot of issues, and their cap situation is not that good. I think that's what you're going to want to watch right there is Seattle Seahawks. You teams looking for CFM, stay away from Seattle. That's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, I know you don't want to give away, and I never encourage giving away any secrets because I know, like, our guy Neff, he does a lot of ratings, but what kind of give them a background of how you come up with some of the formulas, because like you said, somewhat like the PFF for MBL. So what's some of the things that are a part of your processes that you're willing to share?
Yeah, so like it's talked about, the one that I really like is that Youth Power Index, right? So I'm looking for anybody under 26 that falls in these categories of kind of buckets of ratings, because I want to forecast out how good a team's going to be down the road. You talk about CFM, a lot of people want to learn, who are teams that are going to be good in a couple years, right? Who are the young teams? Who are the young, experienced teams? That's where I went in and I rated all those teams and then compared them to each other. On the other hand, the team speed, right? So everybody was asking about team speed. Madden's all about the speed, right? Speed kills. Everybody wants to know about it. So what I did there was I took 11 personnel again. I put in all their speed ratings, and then I averaged out the speed for the 11 personnel. And then on the defensive side, I went with that nickel-based defense, right? So your coverage linebackers in there along with your not your pass rush, the back seven of a nickel. So your safeties and then your nickel corner onward. And again, took those speeds and then averaged those out and applied those there. And that starts giving you a good idea of kind of, from a Madden standpoint, where you want to go, right? Because you got a lot of guys that say, hey, I want a fast team, or hey, I want a young team. Well, those are two things that we've laid out here in these ratings. And then I talked about the optimal rush. I think that's one that people sleep on a little bit. And when you compare the optimal rush ratings, this was actually brought up on Twitter, they align pretty well with Pro Football Focus's ratings as far as pass rush for these teams in real life. So, as much flack as people give Dustin about, what he's doing with the ratings, there's actually, as you dive deeper, you start seeing that some of these things make a little bit of sense. I know I got a lot of flack on Twitter about the Green Bay Packers, right? Everybody's like, well, the Green Bay Packers are rated so low, they're at 23. Well, yeah, the Green Bay Packers are really low at 23 because I pulled out quarterbacks. So when you take away quarterbacks and you look at them, Aaron Rodgers carries a lot of that team. And so you look at the Packers, their coverage is horrible. For a CFM, if you're taking the Green Bay Packers, I'll tell you right now, you have got to replace one safety. There's a safety on that team starting for them that has 54 man coverage and 62 zone. That guy can't play safety. Yikes. Right? So you've got to replace him because he's bringing that coverage average way down. And then you look at the offensive line. There's 2 holes there at both guard spots. I would look to replace those early. And then the offensive speed, right? They've got some weapons, but they're not really fast, right? They're pretty average when you look at the speed of that offense. So there's some issues there. But what does bring them up is that youth power index, especially corner. They've got some really good young corners that you're going to want to get in there early, and that's going to help develop them into a better team a couple years down the road.
Got a question here from Spirit of Truth. He says, what team would be considered the most average?
The most average. That's an interesting question. Normally people want high or low. So if I looked across the board and I would look for a team that's probably the most average, I would probably go to the Tennessee Titans, right? And so you think about the Tennessee Titans, and everybody last year the kind of the thought was the Titans were the hot young team that people were going to go out and get and really develop. But when you look at this team kind of across the board, they're pretty average, 15 in weapons, 13 O-line, 15 pass rush, 13 coverage, 15 defensive speed, 15 youth. They are the definition of average. And so I think if I'm looking at these Titans, I'm thinking if I snag these in a team selection, let's say you guys draft like NBL, if I tag these in a team selection in the top 10, I'm probably overdrafting these guys. I know Marcus Mariota is a great weapon, right? But I kind of got to feel like I would take that team more in that 15 range than that 10 range. So there's not really value for them in that top 10.
Interesting. Trying to find a question here. Let's see. Godspeed said he asked the question twice, but we didn't answer it. I'm trying to find it here.
He's talking about DDA.
Ah, okay.
He's not talking about this.
Got you. Well, I'm gonna throw a question at you, Sonny, that he did say. I mean, because this could all tie back into ratings. I saw earlier, scrolling up, he did ask. He says, "Why do you think we all have different experiences while playing the game?" And then he says, wake up. Because his thing is he feels like just their AI and, the DDA and all of those type of things. So what are your thoughts on that question or, just his sentiment as far as the statement?
Well, I think experiences are a lot of times built around how you're playing and who you're playing with, right? So there's some game-breaking issues, obviously, that everybody's aware of. And you can work through some of those with house rules and things like that. And I think a lot of times that overcomes some of the issues people have. I think there's also the different kind of acceptance, right? So at some point you just accept certain things and other people dwell on them. I've come to accept that sometimes when I throw a wide receiver screen, the wide receiver is just going to fall down, right? It's annoying. It's so annoying. It makes no sense. No one's around him. He falls down. But at the same time, if I dwell on that too long, it's like anything in life. If you just want to harp on one thing constantly and constantly just hate on it, well, you're going to get a negative outlook. I've got a positive outlook on most things. So I tend to just say, hey, I enjoy it. I enjoy the people I play with. And in the end, if you're not having fun playing video games, why are you playing them?
Here's another question, and I'll throw it to you first, Smitty, and then Sonny, you can definitely comment. With like the dynamic difficulty adjustment, right? I guess my question would be, because I know what it's intended to do. You know, it's intended for your experience to not be boring, et cetera, you know, so it feels like things are happening and it doesn't always produce the most fully dynamic gameplay, like on the fly. But I guess my question would be, is that similar to what we're asking for when we ask for things like adaptive AI? And I don't mean that they're the same thing, but what I'm saying is, if you're playing the computer and the computer is smart and it adapts to what you're doing, and one moment, like, you think you're beating them on this, and then all of a sudden they adjust and the corner cheats inside because he knows that you're trying to run the slant. The end goal to me is almost like the same thing. You know, I don't agree with the way, I guess, EA is currently trying to replicate that, but isn't that kind of leaves a similar experience if you wanted the computer to be smart and adjust to what you're doing?
Yeah. Like, I mean, you want a game to feel like they make adjustments, but they can't predict exactly what you're doing based off the adjustments. You know, like how if you see it on you see it during the game or whatever on, Sunday or whatever, you want to see sensible adjusting happen. You don't want it to all of a sudden be how everybody's able to just perform and make every play as far as the CPU secondary opposition wise, but then your CPU, your teammates will get dumbed down all of a sudden, and then they play smart or whatever. So it doesn't feel like it's an organic situation. It makes it feel like they're cheating you, regardless of what set they may be running out of. Like, they just predictably know. But I mean, having an adaptive kind of, like, the CPU adapts to your play style. I mean, it's something that can definitely be done, but with football though, and especially in the sense of, you're going from one snap to the next, to the next, to the next, and who knows what kind of play calling you may be doing. You may not necessarily be going off of a pattern. Like, what I would like is this, like, when you play your CFMs, for example, and you develop a profile, basically. You develop a persona. This is how I'm playing. I pass to the left, right, middle, this amount. I run to the left, right, middle, this amount. These are some of the favorite calls that I have. These are some of the best, the main sets I run out of, stuff like this. So I would like to see the game adjust, or try to adjust, based off of what it is that I do, and be like, okay, this is the game plan. This is what he's doing dynamically. This is what we're going to do against him. And then that's it. So, like, that would be, in my opinion at least, that would be the best way to go about. Oh, excuse me. That would be the best way of going about, implementing a real AI, so to speak, like a progressive AI kind of system in the game. So I don't know. I don't really know how to, like, as far as pulling it off in regards to Madden, but that would be the best way. Kind of like a VIP profile like we had in 2K. Something like that. Like, that would be a way of going about it, where it's like based off of what you're doing, or even if it's not a profile necessarily, something that keeps track of what you're doing with your team. Right, exactly. Like you said there, like Coach Glass. Exactly. Just like that. In that mold though. And having it in that mold, this is what this end user is doing. Okay, let me try to adjust against it. Now, basically not being cheated though, meaning that you're gonna get stopped when I call this play no matter what. It's more like, we call this play, ratings, functionality, all that good stuff is going to be held intact, and then they're just going to try to stop you accordingly. Or they'll make personnel adjustments based off of what you're doing if you're targeting particular receivers multiple times. Stuff like that. But, you know, VIP system kind of stuff, that would be the best thing to do, to have that kind of, you know, setup.
Oh, man. I know if my man OSU was in here, he recalls a conversation like that. That VIP, bruh.
Yeah.
That right there. And it's funny, I can't even hear y'all. Y'all see I got so excited I done knocked the cable out of my headset.
Oh.
But that right there, man, you got to have that, especially in CFM, where it's a situation where somebody can't play their game. And, I mean, because I can't remember if it was... I can't remember if it was NBL or PX1, but I know we had this conversation where how they do it with if somebody plays a computer. And I think you guys said that you allow the guy to just, you know, play until he wins. And I kind of was like, well, what if he loses? But then I understood why you do it, because the game is fluky, number one, at times. Number two, I get it if it's for like especially the way you guys broadcast, if it's a big game, you don't want it to go down like where a guy gets knocked out for something random happens from the computer. Excuse me. So I get it. So I would love to have that old VIP system that 2K had, where if Smitty can't make his game or vice versa, I can literally play his profile. And it's going to mimic Smitty like the best it can, and I'm still getting that experience. I would love something like that to return. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think somebody had asked a question, Sonny. You said you was going to answer them.
Yeah. So, Sickwit, he asked, how are the Jags weapons rated so low when they have a lot of speed on offense? And so, to that point, the ratings for weapons was dictated by, I mentioned that it's 11 personnel projected starters. And so, with the Jaguars, we'll go ahead and pull up their weapons here. You know, they were just pretty average across the board is the problem. You look at their wide receivers, 82, 80, 79, halfbacks an 87, tight ends an 81, you know, giving them an 81.8 rating. Not anything special there. Now, you mentioned speed. Now, speed is interesting, but again, we're talking about, you know, averages, right? And we're talking about starters. You can have 5 million fast wide receivers, but what's that actually mean? To the Jaguars' point, they are fifth in speed on offense. So they're fast, but doesn't necessarily make them good, right? So I get in Madden, sometimes you get that idea, but not quite where we were going with this. So if you have some questions about that, that's why that seems so much lower.
You know what's funny too, Sonny? You make a good point. And just to give you guys a time check, we're at 9:01. We're definitely going to dive into the other news, and, you know, we want to hear Sonny's thoughts with that as well. But here's the funny thing about ratings and us wanting sim gameplay and all of that. I will continue to say this, and you see the mentality come out with ratings and when the game launches. As much as we ask for the sim game, right? Not a lot of people would be willing to deal with a sim game. What I mean, case in point, and I hate to be a homer, but listen, there's no other team I know more than the Steelers. Playoff game against the Jags, right? We lose. The Steelers put up 42 points against that defense. Ben Roethlisberger was playing out of his mind. I mean, Le'Veon Bell makes a phenomenal catch against Tevin Smith, who's in perfect position in the end zone. That happens in Madden or any game. Most people, they're pissed off. You know, like, people usually only are for things when it goes their way. So what I'm saying is, it's like, it's funny a lot of times I sit back and I watch how much people will beef over ratings or what should and what shouldn't happen. My only point is to say that all of these players can drop a pass, miss an interception, miss a sack, miss a tackle, slip, throw an errant pass. I mean, but the challenge in any game is how do you make it, A, believable, and 2, acceptable with those who are playing the game. Because I see it all the time. And I know you guys see it. You look at Twitter with any game and people, oh, that shouldn't have happened. Oh, that's Antonio Brown. Well, let me tell you something. I've seen Antonio Brown drop a pass. Now, I'm not arguing the way it's translated in the game. I get it. But I'm saying, even if Madden gets to the point where it's this full, I mean, we're all in agreement. Oh, it's a sim game. Y'all ain't gonna be happy with the stuff, man. The crazy nonsense stuff me and Smitty would love to see in the game. Y'all wouldn't be happy. The Tony Romo bobble, I would love that to happen to me, and I just have to accept it. Granted, it would have to happen. Like, I would rather it be something user could. Let me tell y'all a crazy thing that we said one time. Smitty remembers this, and I think Farrells was on board with this somewhat. We was like, why don't you make the kicking and all of that fully user control? Meaning the snap, all of that. So that way you could be in charge of whether the snap is a bad snap or not. So I'm cool with random stuff as long as it's user controlled randomness. If y'all, you know what I mean? Like, I hope I'm saying that correctly. So, but I don't think everybody, Sonny, would want to see that kind of stuff, even though they want a sim game. They only want certain things when it benefits them.
Yeah, I mean that's a perfect point there. And actually, so I had this conversation with Clint last year at some point, and we talked about it. I've got a background a little bit in programming, especially in AI. So I'll talk about your VIP discussion here in a second too, because there's some interesting stuff there, I think. But you talk about the bad beats, right? And what people need to realize is the ratings in Maddens, all those are modifiers to dice rolls, right? So imagine going to Vegas and saying, I'm going to put $100 on black, right? And I put $100 on black, and I got, good odds that at some point I'm going to get black, but it doesn't mean that I couldn't have 10 reds in a row, right? Because it's just statistics, right? It's probability. It doesn't mean that in 10 rolls I should be 50-50 or kind of slightly off with the green there. But what it means is over time, over a big enough sample size, it's all going to even out. Well, the problem is people can get those bad beats in a row, and as me and Clement were talking about things like botched snaps, right?
Yes.
It would be tough to tell someone, hey, you got a botched snap. I scored a touchdown on the very next snap after you got the ball back. You botched the snap again. Well, that guy's going to get on Twitter and say, screw this game. It's broken. I'm never playing again, right? But people don't realize that in a big enough sample size, it all works itself out. That's just the way it goes. But, we don't look at it from a big sample size, right? We play, a couple hundred games a year, maybe if you play year-round. You're not playing millions of games a year, and in their system they're seeing how many times it occurs in millions of instances, and they know that is actually working correctly. But for everybody else, they just see what they see, and perception unfortunately is people's reality, but that's not really reality.
Absolutely, man. Smitty, you want to chime in on that, and then we could definitely move on to the itching topic that I know most have been wanting us to cover.
Yeah. No, I'll just say that, I mean, he's right. And like what me and Sim, we had shared this before, this was like, what, Madden 16, I think it was, when we were down at the studio for it. And even though it was a bug, but we saw fumbled snaps. We saw bad snaps happen.
Oh, man, yeah.
But they would snap the ball at times, like it shot through the quarterback's leg because the snap was too low. And he, CP run back and get it, fall on it, and all that good stuff. And it's like when I point out to Clint, I'm like, yo, this is ill right here. Like this is tight. Like I love what y'all did. Y'all put this in there, and I thought it was part of the game. And they was like, no, that's a bug right there. I'm like, man, leave this. And he brought up the same thing, same case scenario, the Sonny basically saying like, but he brought up the tournament example. Well, if it was a tournament game and it was, X amount of dollars on the line and they lose the game because of a random occurrence, basically it's something they can't control. So it's like, okay, all right, like I understand, but at the same time, it happens in the game. Like randomly it happens. It could be the very first snap of the game and you see that botch handling of the ball happen. They could be the best offensive line you've seen in history, and they'll still botch a snap. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Like, if we had those kind of things happen in the game, yes, it'll get posted on Twitter and get all kind of retweets to say the game's all kind of broke. But it'll be a play that most of us will never have happen. But it'll be amplified because they chose to upload it on Twitter and be like, "Oh, EA, look at this stuff. This is why your game's broke. Give up the license. Blah 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 blah." So, you know, I get the context of what he's saying, and I mean, like we've talked about a million times about having the game be this true to life sim kind of experience. I mean, they can make the gameplay more authentic on the field. That's the main thing that has to be done. Building off of what's done within FIFA and NHL and other titles. So, and they're definitely doing it, but it's just something that they're going to have to build and get the game to that point, which obviously we clearly can see they're taking those strides, especially with them being on that RPM tech. That's a huge step in that proper direction. And I mean, I know
realize it.
That's what I'm saying. I know people this goes back to a point. This is a point that 757 made all the way back on freaking Madden 15 when we talked about that back then on here. And we said that Madden, even though at that point it wasn't there yet, but at the same time we also had said that it's going to get to a point where it's going to be a game where you're going to have to actually play to actually see the differences. It's the same thing with FIFA, PES, NHL, NBA 2K. Like, all these games are not going to be something you just look on screen and it's like, OMG, I just saw exactly what's going on. Like, no. It's going to have to be, you're going to have to play to really experience the differences and feel it. And that's why even like with, and I mean, all the blogs that I've seen so far for this year's upcoming EA titles are like, you got to feel the difference. You got to feel it. Like, they're not saying like, oh, you're going to see it all on screen. Like, no, you got to feel it. Just like when me and Sim, saw the stuff that was going on in the beta, it's like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, there's things going on that we're like, we see it, but it wasn't something that just popped up and it's like, oh, yo, did you see that play? Like, it's stuff that it's simplistic stuff going on, but at the same time, it brings so much more value to the game itself. And I'm glad about it because it already has me excited for what's going to go on in the future of the game. So I'm already excited for next year's game off of what I got to experience, even from EA Play. I was already excited for Madden 20 because of what's being done now, and it's going to mean so much in the grand scope of things. So but even though that, Madden is playing from behind, so that's why when you see NHL and all these other games, that's the whole, that's the whole thing about it. It still is playing from behind, but with these guys doing the whole sharing technology, it'll help the game progress quicker or catch up quicker. So
yeah, man, and I'll say this couple quick things, and then we'll talk about the departure of Carlos Guerrero. I'm gonna throw that to Sonny first. I want to hear his perspective, then Smitty, and then I'll give my 2 cents. But 2 things. My man Antoine, and actually round of applause to Antoine, man. Gave us a nice donation there, man. So I definitely appreciate that. We always appreciate any of you that do that. I don't care if it's 5 cents. I appreciate whatever you do. Anyway, he mentioned about speed. He says he feels like speed kills the game, and I think I understood what he was talking about. I think he's talking about what I stated in the chat. I would like to see the speed become more like MLB. MLB The Show, and every time I play that game and it's a pop fly or whatever, it's always an experience for me because I don't know if I'm going to get there or not, especially when you see the little icon get smaller and smaller. There's no speed burst. My guy is just running. A Starlet Marte, who's known for his speed, usually has a better chance of getting there versus Corey Dickerson, from the Pirates. I love that. I wish it was like that in Madden, especially with them moving towards the RPM. I would love it to get to a point where a guy's speed is a guy's speed. The way he cuts and accelerates is based on that guy's acceleration and speed. Even the one-cut mechanic, I would like that to be where it's still based on what this guy can do, not necessarily being able to hit the burst yourself. I get why it's there, but I'm just saying, if it was like that, if it was just natural running and these guys progress speed, you know, when they see open field, like what if that was a trait? You know, a guy like the freak of nature, I always call him, Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was the type of dude that seemed like he didn't even lose any speed when he cut. So then that might be an attribute of his in the game where, yo, he can make these sharp cuts and he's still going to be at top speed, et cetera, et cetera. So I would love to see something like that. The second thing I wanted to say, guys, what I don't know why we continue to have the arguments of why this game, and why can't Madden, especially when it's an EA game. The first thing that I always like to mention about that is obviously it's not a EA problem. Why would the rest of your games be great and you purposely not make Madden great? There's no argument anybody can give me to believe that. Why? Because FIFA outsells Madden. Battlefield does a great job. Why would they just pick Madden to be the one? We're just going to hold it back because we care about money when there's other games that make more than Madden. So that makes no sense. Number two, we already know the answer. We already know. We appreciate when Rex was there, but I'm so glad that he was so transparent. He's already told, Sonny's had the interviews with him. We already know the internal battles that they have. I mean, that's really it. That we shouldn't really have to argue anymore. The only thing we really should be saying is how can we kind of, you know, beat the door down to the suits, whoever makes the decisions. That's really all of the answers to everything we're asking for. Resource time. I actually had a conversation with A-Dub just yesterday. I can't share it, but it was some of the same stuff. Like kind of, some stuff I was going to get to. I'm probably going to get to it later on in the cycle. Didn't have resource. I was like, see, we know these conversations. That's the answer. It's the people who, when we listen to those calls, we don't, you know, those investors, they don't. Rex said it. I'm dealing with people most of the time that really don't even know the sport. They don't know why this is important to football. All they're worrying about is the bottom line. There's your answer. But outside of that, I mean, the RPM, y'all really need to pay attention to that RPM tech because that is going to eliminate some of the excuse. Or it's going to allow the devs to do more stuff because they can pull from these games. That's the thing. So even if they don't get as much or enough resource time, they could now tap into some of the stuff that FIFA's doing with RPM because they already have it. And whatever NHL is doing and what Live is doing. That was the whole goal of Frostbite, in case you guys didn't know. That's the whole goal for it. We're seeing it happen now. It's coming to fruition with RPM. Because all of these games are getting it. And it's going to be more tech like that they'll be able to dump into Frostbite and share. So that's why Smitty and myself are excited about it. Because, again, like Smitty said, us seeing the game already, we see what RPM has the potential to do going forward. Because we already know. We've had these conversations. So that's just it, man. That's why I just don't spend my time getting into the, well, why can't they? Why? We all know the answer. I mean, I don't know why we're still asking that question. But that's just my little rant for the night. But Sonny, man, this was probably an interesting year for us and for you. I mean, you've talked to Rex several times and have gotten some very candid information out of him on your podcast. If we find out he's leaving, and you know most of the world knows this now, I find out as I'm there on a community day. He walks in the room and I'm like, what? Like totally threw the week off. I wasn't expecting that. So then we get Carlos coming in here and we're all like, okay, he's saying the right things except for one thing. Pissed our community off a little bit with the whole, well, you can't please. I get what he was trying to say, but I still don't think it needed to be said in such a nonchalant way, because obviously if you have a crowd that's upset, you got to be very delicate how you deliver your message. But I get what he was trying to say. And the main things that I was excited about with him was he kept talking about, oh, it all comes down to gameplay. So I was like, okay, let's ride this wave with him and see what he's going to do. Now, for those of you that don't know, EA puts out a statement, 2 days ago. Carlos Guerrero is no longer a part of EA, nor is he on the Madden team. They just said he was let go due to quote-unquote policy conduct. I don't know what he did. I'm not going to speculate, but he's out now. Won't affect Madden 19, but what were your initial thoughts when you heard that news, knowing that, in case you guys don't know, it's late July now. They're probably about to begin the Madden 20. They probably have already had production meeting. So how do you feel, man, going into another game and we don't even know who the guy is going to be?
So, it's interesting. I think we're still okay on time. Last kind of update I heard on the kind of the calendar is, late August, early September is where they really tend to nail down feature sets. I think they're probably having some exploratory meetings now, but I think we're still okay there just based on some things I've heard in passing. As far as Carlos coming and going, honestly, I didn't really talk to him ever, and I didn't really connect with him. I saw the interview like everybody else, and I agree the optics of what he said wasn't great. There was truth in what he said, but a lot of times, you've got to temper the way you say things. And so he was in a comfortable situation with a guy that he's probably had, some conversations with kind of candidly about, and it slipped out. And I'm sure in hindsight he wishes he could take it back, but I don't think it was meant with any sort of ill intention towards the community. And I think that's where some people got a little bit carried away, thinking it was some sort of EA conspiracy to attack the franchise mode or put it down or whatever it may be. But going forward, I think there's some options in there. Obviously, you've got Mike Young in there that he could rise up. We'll see what happens there. Maybe they go outside. I'm not so sure about that.
Fellow Steeler fan, I might add.
Yeah, there you go.
That. My boy Mike.
But really, when I look at this, I don't get too bent out of shape, because here's the reality, right? The team is really the talent, right? So the team, the developers, the guys you don't even know about, right? You've got your Cliffs and your John Whites and guys like that, but really the guys that do the day-to-day work that you don't know their names, that's really the talent. And what Rex will even tell you, right, is he was just the face, right? The guy who probably ate more of the criticisms and got more of the accolades than he should have. But in the end, the guys driving this stuff are still there. So I think we're still in good hands. It just comes down to kind of what that forward-facing person is, the Carlos or the Rex, right? And what they do is they take the team and act as a representative when they talk to, as we like to call them, the suits. And so who that guy is, I see people beat up Carlos for not being a football guy, but it didn't matter. You don't need a football guy at the top. What you need is a guy who listens to his guys and pitches the vision that his guys tell him to pitch, right? You need a good salesman. You don't need a good football guy. You need a guy that listens to his people and takes that information and relays it to people in a very convincing fashion, in a fashion that works in a business world. I would take a guy who has no experience in football or in sports games from another developer, but he's got great experience in getting things done, right? Getting what people want out. You don't need a guy that knows X's and O's. You need a guy that knows the corporate structure. That's what I'm hoping they bring in. So I'm not too worried about this. I think there's a lot that can happen, but I'm not going to fret over a guy so high up the chain, because he's really not the guy that's doing the X's and O's.
Well put, man. I like that. What you got, Smitty? I know Smitty got a lot to say. Smitty probably going to go down a lot of rabbit holes, so I'm listening to this one. No? You ain't got a lot? Oh, I can't hear you, Smitty. Maybe they can hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
All right. Mute symbol didn't flip, but okay. No, I mean, I don't have a ton of things to say, because, I mean, this was so left field. But, see, this is the thing. All right. Carlos was a successful guy. Okay? He was successful with Overwatch and World of Warcraft. That's outstanding. You know what I'm saying? Highly successful franchises. Oh, excuse me. And he did his thing with that. You know what I mean? With his involvement. So That's what I was looking at. And then when he made that initial statement, yeah, he said the thing about CFM, but you know what's crazy though? A lot of people in the CFM community that were supposedly so mad about what he said validated his statement to the letter. So can't really get completely mad at that when you validate his words, especially after EA play. But the outside of that, he talked about balanced development, talked about developing gameplay, developing modes out, all that stuff. So I'm like, even when it came to title updates, he said, I want to make sure people know what it is that's being updated. It's one thing to give a blog, but I want to make sure that people understand what it is that we're doing, so that way it's not just happening just because, like that kind of talk. And I'm like, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, okay, you're opening the door more. That's the kind of stuff. But we actually have to see him carry that out. And the problem is that we didn't get to see any of that yet. So it leaves it up in the air in terms of what's going to happen. And I mean, you have people in there, like what was already said. You got guys like Ben Hallmiller. I mean, wealth of just a deep well of information from that guy. Like, and he's been working
passionate.
Yes, extremely. Guys like, I mean, we already know, guys that aren't on the forefront, but that we know of, guys like Scant. Those guys, all in. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys, what?
Scant can't be in that position.
Huh? Oh, no. Oh, no. Scant can't be in that position.
Not saying he can't do it, but
yeah, he can do it. He can do it, but man, if he
that's an inside joke right there.
Boy.
Nah, it wouldn't be pretty. Scant don't play no games, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that'd be wow, boy. I think people would be scared. People would be scared.
Yeah. Well, whatever you want to do, Mr. Scantleberry. Whatever. Any of you guys out there that whether it was going down to the studio and y'all have met Mike Scantleberry, y'all understand what we're saying. I don't know if any of you guys here in the chat know, but that would be interesting if he was the head guy, head honcho.
Yeah. If you look, actually, he's in one of the Madden breakdown trailers. If you look back at Madden 12, where they talk about a run that's done by what's his name, Rashawn Mendenhall, and they talked about that impact tackling system that they had in Madden 12. He actually did the breakdown, so you get to see him on camera for a moment, but he's not really about being on front like that. So anyways, but yeah, the passion is there, the team is there, the personnel is definitely there. Clint, obviously, I mean, look, these guys know what to do, and it's just
shout outs to A-Dub.
Oh, A-Dub. I mean, come on. Yep.
Yeah.
All them cats. That's what I'm saying. So it's just, it's just having somebody who's really going to head up the whole thing. Now, I mean, is it a bad thing that Roy Harvey is in there at the moment? Not at all. Not at all. Because he was one of the main production guys over, I think it was Madden 12 and 13 at the time. So, that's not a bad, so I mean, it's not bad, but I mean, he's just basically babysitting the spot right now until there's a prominent, a permanent fill, which if it were to be Mike Young, that would not be bad. That would not be bad at all. I think that would be a pretty good move from inside to do that. But if they don't, and I don't know, like, shoot, yeah, man, I really don't know, man. I mean, am I worried about Madden 20 because this happened? At this exact moment, no. Would I have some kind of concern as far as if there isn't if that position is not filled and it's more toward the end of the year, then yeah, it would be a little bit of a concern because it's like you really don't have a head, and it's like, so who's really managing what? Because you have budgets and, like you just mentioned before, resource allocation. What's going to be used for what? Who's really going to be over that? Now, like I said, if you got Roy being over, until then, fine. But I'm just saying somebody that's going to be the day-to-day, this is going to be the person that's going to be heading this up at that position. And the main reason why this even makes a big deal as a topic is because of Rex and what he left. You know what I'm saying? Because this was a public guy. He was a high, he had a higher end position. He was a public guy, interacted with streams, interviews, did his own live streaming, and talked about all kinds of stuff and everything. That guy's gone. You have Carlos in there for 15 minutes. Now he's gone. And now you have, Roy that's there, but he's a guy that's on the inside. He's not an external interactive guy. So it does bring that outright public concern to a degree. What's going to happen? It kind of leaves things up in limbo, so to speak, at the moment. But I mean, everything will be all right. It'll be all right. It'll work out. But I just hope that they, whether it's somebody outside or if it's somebody inside, I just hope that they fill it with somebody who potentially will be the right candidate. And hopefully when they are brought in, they can actually have an immediate impact on the current title instead of, we won't really see them do any work, real prominent work, until the following Madden. So that's pretty much my take.
Yeah, and I won't bore you guys to death with my whole soliloquy. But it's interesting, man, because it just reminds me of something that Smitty says all the time, countless times. It comes down a lot of times to consistent development with the same people intact. And kind of to hit on Sonny's point, I guess I can't be too worried about it because Carlos really wasn't there that long in terms of leading the ship. I know he was there much longer than when he was announced, but as far as being in that position, so it's almost the perfect time if he has to go bring somebody in now or groom somebody who's there, or like you said, Roy Harvey taking over. It shouldn't be that disruptive. My only question would be is who is the next guy? If it is another higher outside like you did with Carlos, who is that? Carlos, if you heard his interview, he couldn't wait to jump on the opportunity to play, go ahead and be in charge of the Madden franchise. He said that they came to me and they said EA wants to offer you, and he's like, what is it? And he's like, Madden. Oh, Madden? Oh, yeah. He was looking forward to it. Like Smitty said, I think maybe he thought it would be challenging with him coming from a different type of background. But, I mean, the games that he was a part of, it speaks for itself. So he may have been the guy to hit, again, back on Sonny's point. I don't think the guy necessarily needs to be a football person in this respect. His team, the devs, are already football people. So if you need a guy in a top tier position that can sit down with the other guys who are making decisions, that can convince them, nah, we got to do this. And this is why. My guys say this is a must. This takes us to the next level. Da-da-da-da-da. Then I need that guy too. And he doesn't necessarily have to have a football background. So we'll see. I guess the only negative side of it being an in-house person is those guys are still there. It's the same people that I'm sure they have conversations with now. So do they listen to them that much more, or is it more business as usual? You know what I mean? We'll see what happens with Roy. Roy's been there for a very long time. He is an executive. He worked on NCAA For you guys that want a visual, he is the New England Patriots coach. In Madden. Yeah. What else can I say, Smitty? I know there's something I want to say, and should I jump out of there and say it? Let me see. I'll have to look at it with an eyebrow raised, because y'all remember that time when I told y'all that I spoke to an exec one time, and hey, I'm gonna say it. Whatever. This ain't gonna get me in no trouble. Remember I told y'all that I spoke to an exec one year, and they was adamant about things that wasn't going to change. Oh, people are going to have to just learn how to play, and we're going to stick to that charge. And then the game comes out and things changed. Guess who the guy was that I was talking to? You guessed it, Roy Harvey. It's business. It's not like I took it as he lied. Listen. When it's about business, listen, I don't know why things change when it comes to that. You understand what I'm saying? When he's in his meeting. But from my personal experience, it does make me kind of sit back and say, okay, all right. Whether it was a personal thing to me, which I don't believe, or not, it still was okay, so y'all had the idea to stick with this, but then you flip-flopped. That's a concern for me, because like I said, this is a guy who's up the food chain. And it just goes to show you how easy these things, you know what I mean? How easy these things can be influenced when it's something that's raised on Twitter or whatever. And wait, because let me tell you this too, and this is all speculation. I would assume now Roy might have more eyes on the situation being in this, temporary position versus where he was before. I imagine where he is before this is more in a higher rank where things are reported back. The producer, the fill-in senior producer is going to be more hands-on, which means his eyes might see more stuff for itself. I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know business, and I just don't know which way things are going to swing is all I'm saying. So, this could either go very good, or it could go very bad. We'll see. I don't really have much more to add to that, man. I saw a lot of people saying, y'all, on Twitter, telling Rex to come back, and I'm like, man, that's not. I would love it, but
he ain't coming back.
Nah, creative differences, guys. That you just don't. Because one guy gets fired, you just don't. Unless there's a miracle, and whoever the people were that came to this collective of, okay, we have the creative differences, they decide, you know what, maybe he was right. Let's see if we can get him back. Maybe, but I doubt it. He's not coming back. So,
yeah. Your Roy comment's interesting because isn't he the general manager there right now?
You know what? I don't really know his title.
I don't know what his title is, but he's up there.
I thought I read that this would kind of be a step back for him. I think right now he's kind of covering.
It is. I
think
it would.
Business standpoint, I don't think he's going back. But you mentioned the flip-flopping, and what's interesting about that, right, is, I work in marketing, and a lot of times marketing drives that stuff. And what that is that's focus groups, and that's polling and things like that. Mm-hmm. And people like to claim they're agile, and unfortunately companies get too agile at times, and as you said, they go with the wind. And I think really what you see with Madden a lot of times is they panic, right? They get this idea, they're getting snapshots from these focus groups, and they panic, and they start to think that, oh wow, we can't do this, or oh wow, that's not good, right? Or the marketing guy comes to them and says, hey, there's this really cool thing happening right now in the NFL, right? It's the celebrations, right? We got to get celebrations in the game. And as a developer, you've got to understand how frustrating that is, because you've got this vision that keeps getting sidetracked.
Speak on it.
And that's really the difficult process, is you're fighting with what people think the customers want, right? You say in business, you got to give the customers what they want, not what you think they want. Well, what you have is basically two people thinking they know what the customer want, fighting over it. You've got marketing saying, hey, this is what our people are telling us. You've got developers saying, hey, this is what our people are telling us. And in the end, marketing tends to win, because marketing is a little bit higher up on the hierarchical structure than development is. So, it's a struggle, and that's why I said, whoever the next guy is, I don't care if they couldn't even tell you what a football looks like, right? In fact, I'd go pull somebody from FIFA. I think I would go out to FIFA's development team or higher up in that organization, pull someone over from FIFA who knows how to drive a vision, because that's really what you have to do. You have to be a salesman that's actually going to drive a vision.
Man, I love it when people come on that, and I don't want to say people like that because Sonny is extended family, man. But when you get it, you get it. And it's always great when it's not from me and Smitty, because we're always going to have the moniker of, oh, they're selling. It's going to happen to guys like OSU soon. You watch. Because, he's had a chance to come down. It's crazy. But the funny thing about it is it's simple to see. It's just, it sucks because it's the football game, that game that we all love to play and we want the best experience. It sucks that it's the football game that's going through as much struggle as it is and all of the compromise. It seems like we get cut short. But that's what it is. It's business. All we can do is continue to try to be as vocal as possible, which it was, to me, a huge victory with NBL getting a lot of recognition now and going forward into Madden 19. And that's what we need. Maybe Money Cutter, the check cutters, will start listening a little more. Like, well, what's going on over there? You see what I mean? So that's all it is, man. The devs are not lying to you. Thank God that Clint is still there, because I'm still seeing some of that transparency come out of his interviews, where they basically walking the fine line telling you, like, well, look, we just couldn't do that this time. Definitely that's on our radar. They're not lying. I can say that. They're not lying when they tell you things on their radar, because Smitty and I didn't believe any of that until we became, not even when we became game changers, but when we went down the first time back in 2012. Then we was like, oh, y'all really know what y'all doing. My bad. Let me step back. But when that first conversation I had with Anthony White, A-Dub, I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing I can tell you about football. Let me take my foot out of my mouth. Nice to meet you, sir. And then when I see this big, giant human being walk in the room, I'm like, who is that? Oh, that's Clint Oldenburg. Yeah, that guy knows how to play offensive line. Let me shut up about the trenches. Nothing I could tell him. I could just give him my suggestions on what I would like to see in the game. But there's nothing I could tell him about blocking, offensive line, D-line interaction. What am I going to tell a guy who played in the league? That's the type of stuff those are the type of talents they have on staff. So it's unfortunate for the devs, man, because they want as much stuff as we. Go look at and shout outs to Expert. Go look at his interview with Ben Hamiller. I mean, these guys are not lying to you when they're like, look, we want to do all of that. They just have to be allotted the time and resources to do it. That's just how it goes, man.
Hey, Sim, I'm going to say something people aren't going to like right now when it comes down to this. In the reality, what'd you say?
So,
okay. So I will tell you guys when you'll see the biggest leap for Madden, right? The biggest leap is going to come from Madden 21, I guess would be the best one, maybe 22. I'm getting my years mixed up. And the reason being is the new Xbox hardware will come out in 2020. And the reality is, if you talk to any of the developers in there, the code is still kind of sandwiched on top of each other. And what happens is it's really difficult, right? We can tell the developers, hey, we got to fix this, we got to fix that. But at the end of the day, right, they're working on a code base on a year-to-year game that's just not stable. There's a lot of code there that needs to be ripped out and completely rebuilt. Facts. I'm talking key functions in the game that are not fixable, right? There's nothing they can do unless they completely pull something out for a whole cycle and rebuild it. So they've got to scrap the code and basically start fresh on a lot of things, but that's not going to happen until they kind of get a side development team heading towards the new hardware, right? That new platform normally gives them a little bit more of a resource bump to invest in rebuilding out these things. So we're going to see improvements, right, over the next couple seasons. But if you're really circling a date on the calendar for a big improvement, I hate to tell you, it's really going to be that 2021 year. That 2021, 2022, that's really when you're going to see that jump. So we're going to make do, right? We're going to see improvements, but that next big jump everybody's expecting, you're still a couple ways out.
See, and that right there, he just went Eminem going at Terrence right there. Straight off 8 Mile on that one right there. See what I'm saying? You gotta
round of applause for Smitty's analogy there.
That's literally it right there, dude. Literally.
Little Terrence has real nice parents. Oh man.
Real talk. That's the kind of stuff. And I mean, like I said, I ain't gonna say nothing, because of stuff that I had discussions with Ben and Roy Harvey with at EA Play. There's certain things that basically can't be done until they get to a higher platform, because the way they want to do it, this system couldn't handle it. It'll crash it. So, and I'm talking about some good stuff that we talked about, some really good stuff.
Pro Bowl helmets.
Yeah, Pro Bowl helmet.
That's what it is. It's
Pro
what it is.
Bowl
It's
helmet.
assets.
Pro
They
Bowl
can't put any more assets in the game. It screws it up.
And mouthpieces, you know what I'm saying? Different assortments, colors, and flavors. No. But yeah, it's just, there's things they want to do that they want to take it to a whole nother level, and they want to give that authenticity to it, but they just can't on this platform. So, yeah, to his point, spot on. But I want to add this bit on, because this is just some stuff that I see on Twitter and everything, and even maybe from some people here even. I don't, not for certain, but I'm just saying this. When we talk about Madden, playing from behind and all that stuff, and it's like, how come the game isn't up to par with MLB and all that stuff and everything else? Like what Sim has said, as reference from what I've said many, many times over, consistency with lead development. That's why 2K has went on the path they pretty much have been on with both their their football game when they made it, and their basketball game. They pretty much had the same core team the tenure of their development. NBA 2K has a lot of key developers that have been on the same team for 15 years, like at lead positions, 10 to 15 years together. So that kind of stuff makes a big difference when you're talking about a product being developed out and branched out and having all these features and facets and stuff like that. FIFA has, I'm very confident, I haven't checked with FIFA, but I'm pretty sure FIFA is the same deal. NHL, definitely NHL, because I know that tall fella, I forgot my man's name, but he's been on that team for a mighty long time. You know what I'm saying? At the same position. So when you have that go on, and we talked about many times over the years, well before we even did this show, we talked about you had Roy, you had David Ortiz, then you had Ian Cummings, then you had Phil Frazier, then you had, you know what I mean? Like the development consistency got so scattered and skewed. Madden didn't have a real vision. You know what I'm saying? That's why we could bust out Madden 04 and 05 and be like, and I'm talking about easily compare and be like, dude, look what's over here, what was done yesteryear, and look what's being done now. So when we look at the game where it's at right now, and I know we had the whole frustrations with CFM and all that stuff, but just think about this. With what they're able to do now as far as tracking stuff, they're able to track based off of usage data. When they could come back every single year and say, CFM, Mutt makes all this money and people buy all these packs and bundles and all that stuff, but CFM is our most played mode. It has the most utilization out of everything. Out of online head-to-head, out of Mutt, it's totality. They're all playing this mode. So even though people get all frustrated and pissed off and angry and everything, they still are playing the game. They're still playing that mode. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that, well, like the point that I'm getting to is that, we're making this, we make these stances based off of what happens with these games, and I already know these comparisons are going to come up as soon as we see another FIFA trailer come out, or we see some FIFA gameplay, or FIFA demo come out, or PES, or anything like that, and it's like, man, how come Madden ain't like this? I'm telling you why right now. Why it isn't. You know, like I've said before, this is why it hasn't happened yet. Because this is why they're behind and not there. They got to get it on that level, and they got to build that stuff up. That's why if you look at that article, from what they said about the real player motion, they said they took technologies from other games and put it all together in one package. That's exactly what we're talking about right there. They're allocating from other titles to make it work in theirs, so they can help get ahead. You know what I'm saying? And get their game on a higher platform. It's just going to take them time to build it up. That's just the problem. So, but hey, like I said, me, Sim, Sonny, all of us, we all want CFM to be this ridiculously robust mode with all kind of features and all that good stuff. But let me also say this too. This was brought to my attention as well, and I didn't even pay attention to it. And I play FIFA, not to the fullest extent. But you look at FIFA, all the gameplay stuff they do on the field and everything, right? You got people that think that game ain't done nothing. But
yeah,
people love putting money into FUT. Just like Sim said, they make way more money than Madden does. Off of sales alone, they're killing Madden. Let alone Ultimate Team. But those guys have not touched their not career mode. Basically their career mode, they have not touched that in years. They haven't innovated that in years. And to be quite honest, I'd take what they have in their career mode instead of what's in Madden right now. Even what's in Madden 19 right now. But see, that's the thing. We marvel over the gameplay. Whenever I stream FIFA, people love it. It's because of the gameplay, the ebb and flow of the game. Sim, you did videos recently talking about stuff in the game, and that's the whole thing.
Phenomenal.
The game on the field, man. We're not even talking about career mode. We're not talking about franchise stuff. So this is what I'm saying. Like I know they want to get this stuff right. Talking to the devs, they want to get the system built out. And see, that if any concern that I have as far as franchise mode going forward, that would be the one thing I have concern about, especially with Carlos being gone. Because of what he said in his initial interview was equal development being on an equilibrium, basically, across the board. Modes, gameplay, all that stuff. Just all equal development across the board, going year by year. And with him gone now, what's going to be that is that same premise going to be upheld with whomever it is that does take the reins and keep it going, or is that all going to shift? You know what I'm saying? That's the part that's kind of up in the air, and it's like, I don't know. Because that's the part that we were the most concerned about, was like, man, CFM don't get no love. We don't see it get the love it needs, even though we are talking about gameplay, which is, of course, they need to address gameplay, but we want to see CFM start to get some really, really love, really get that development love that it really should. So, I don't know, man. We'll see, but that's the one concern I got. That's the one concern. Otherwise, yeah, I fully entrust the team, but, somebody's going to be in charge of that budget. Somebody's going to be in charge of what kind of resources are going to be allocated. So that's why, giving feedback and input and things like that are extremely critical. So that way, regardless of how much budget of that budget is going to be allocated towards CFM/gameplay development, make sure that we're being vocal, make sure that we're being heard on that, and really speak up about it. Because like what we've had discussions about before, you got Mutt with Mutthead, and they got Reddits and all kinds of stuff, and those guys are clicking on all cylinders. So that's why they get the response. They get real good response off of what they got going on. We have to have something similar where it's like We got our we have our feedback allocated, and we have a spot, or a few main spots where we know we can get all the CFM feedback together and really present it in one place. That's the key thing that we gotta have. I mean, we just have to. Seriously, it can't be scattered feedback. This guy's saying this here. These people over here. Shotmaster saying this. This person's saying that. Like, no, we need to have more of a collective where it's like the big voices, small voices, and all that all together, all are in a primary, maybe 2 or 3 spots where we can point devs to and things like that and be like, hey, look, this is where all the information is. People can put whatever they want to do, top 10 list, whatever, and just put it in there and give that feedback based upon what's going on with the game. So, seriously.
Man, look. I'll end it with this, man, because it's perfect time. We can go ahead and close the show. We don't have the answer. We don't have the answer as to why things aren't backwards compatible, why they took this out, how can we get the devs to listen? I mean, the ear of the listen. We don't have the answer. Rex said it. If I'm not mistaken, it was on one of the podcasts. Might have been for Verts. If they can't do it, you know, if the in-house devs can't convince them, it's not a whole lot we can do other than make noise. That's it.
Right.
That's all. I mean, to me, there's no riddle here. It's for all of you guys that just are fed up with it. Don't buy the game. Don't play. I'm serious. Like, if Madden has fed you up to the point where you just can't stand it, do not support it. Do not buy it. Don't have the headache. Go play something else. And I understand it's the only football game, but in reality, it's not the only football game because you guys who say that always reference old games. So go play those. I'm just saying, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we are merely a community that tries to offer feedback. We've gotten some stuff done. That's all we can do, man. I mean, at this, like I said, it's not that serious no more to me in terms of, hey, they don't do this, and I'm gonna, dog. Listen, it's not that serious to me anymore. Maybe somebody else can take that position and make those type of videos, but that ain't. I don't have that energy no more to do that. Outside of the fact that I'm informed as to exactly what's going on in the building, and I try to relay the message. But some of you. You know, some of you take it, some don't. I don't know what else to say, but like I said, man, it's either play it or don't, you know, or keep providing feedback, or that's it. That's really it. We don't know if they will ever get to the point where we want it. We don't know. We know the people there want to do that, but we don't know those who hold the keys. Maybe it'll change one day. I don't know, man. I'm just going to continue to provide my feedback. I'm a gamer. I'm always going to be a gamer until my fingers fall off. So it doesn't hurt me to continue to do this and have the access I have to influence some change, what little change I can. So that's it, man. And another thing, with all of the, because I know that y'all ain't really talking about that, but just seeing the word licensing that Sonny just posted. Another thing, man, can we stop saying for EA to just give it up? And can we all just remember who's in charge? The NFL. The NFL is the reason why there is an exclusive, or even if it's not exclusive anymore, it's the NFL is the reason why Madden or EA is the company that they choose to run with. The NFL is the reason why you don't see concussions in the game. Ben Hamilla, again, another shout out to Expert. Go watch his interview. Ben tells you these people openly say certain stuff we just can't do. It ain't us. I mean, it's just the NFL has a huge checklist of stuff that they have to, all right, we allow this, we'll allow that, we'll allow this, we'll allow that. That's it.
Yeah. Stuff EA had and wanted to do, they can't do. Remember helmets popping off? Can't do that no more. Even players that get concussed, I think they took that injury out, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Dynamic attendance. That's something that EA wanted to do.
Yeah.
Guess what? They took that out too.
NFL ain't
These are
having
the
it.
things they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at the NBA side and you're like, oh man, but NBA 2K has it. If 2K made the game, they'd have it. No, they won't. They won't have it because the NFL said they can't have it. So this is the lay of the land, man. Like some of these things you don't have control with. And I mean, at the end of the day, 2K could have been made a game. I've already said last week. Look at PES. There's no excuse. They decided to use their licensing money on re-upping a baseball license and made no game, and re-upping a wrestling license, which is honestly getting beat out by Fire Pro Wrestling, which is a much better wrestling game in my opinion. And that game is a 16-bit game. So, hey.
I'm not sure. I don't know, but I'm not sure the license is exclusive anymore. I'm just not. I'm telling you, if y'all remember a couple years ago, the Come At Me Bros and all of that, and Smitty, we were telling y'all, like, hey, we got some inside information that I think the NFL will entertain other people. I really don't think. Remember when we used to get the report and we knew when the exclusivity was going to be due? We haven't seen that in a long time. I really don't know, but something is telling me that it's not fully exclusive anymore, which wouldn't allow another company. I don't know, but again, I think this ship has sailed. It's the NFL. You go on the NFL's website and they talking about Madden ratings. That ship is sailed, man. The NFL is happy with Madden. They like the relationship. There you go. That's just what it's gonna be. That's how I feel. And 2K, your dreams of them coming back, why would they? When they are killing it in basketball, selling crazy units. Now, they might have to in a couple years because, you never know. NBA Live might cut into some of that, so maybe they might look for another genre to get back into. Who knows? We none of us know this. But at the end of the day, it's not that serious. It's video games, man. That's all. So, before we go, man, Sonny, anything else you want to say to the good people here?
Nah, it's been fun. It's been a blast. I enjoy it. Make sure you check it out. I'm on Twitter at T4Verts. You can follow me. I say kind of random stuff from time to time whenever I get bored. And then, check out the EA Access tournament at 365.maddenbomberleague.com. Over $2,000 in prizes. It's for a good cause. No entry fee to enter. Check us out.
There you go, Smitty. Any last remaining words?
Just appreciate everybody like always. Sonny coming through. Got to get more of the MBL on the show here. But we appreciate y'all like always, man. Y'all do great work with the podcast, with the live broadcast, everything else. We appreciate you guys and what you guys do. Franchise community wise, no doubt. Like, y'all kill it with that. But outside of that, though, appreciate all of you guys, coming through, hanging out with us. Enjoy gaming. Bottom line, that's all I'm saying. That's what these consoles and these gaming PCs and all that stuff are for. They're for entertainment. If a game's not entertaining to you, then don't bother with it. Play games that are going to be entertaining to you and that are going to fulfill your requirement. Simple as that. So
that's it. Real quick, Sonny, isn't it something, I don't want to misquote it, but isn't it some tie-in that you guys will have this year now with Madden 19? I think it was something that was announced a couple of months ago. I can't remember what it was. Like, I don't know if y'all were going to be the official CFM stream on EA or something. Wasn't it something like that?
Nah, I don't know if anything's official locked in right now, but what I can tell you is, we made great strides last year getting on there. On their official Twitch channel, thousands of people were watching CFM, which is always a good thing. We're going to continue to make more strides going forward, and we'll see what this year holds.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember. For some reason, I was thinking that they said y'all might have a panel or something like in the game. I don't know. Let's push for that.
There may be some talks. We'll see where it goes.
Great. Well, all right, guys, we're gonna go. Y'all know my routine, the Friday thing. I gotta go to bed, get up early tomorrow, travel, Hey, don't complain. 1 day a week. But anyway, appreciate the show, man. And I say the show because you guys make it. We definitely thank Sonny for coming on, Duran for coming on, and anybody else, man. I mean, listen, if you have a topic, you want to be on the panel, what we will challenge you with, though, is if you want to be a panelist, you have to come with topics. Because mostly everybody who's done that has came with their own, hey, I would like to come on, let's talk about this. Boom. Because, it's funny. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and some of you guys may know this, some of you guys may not. I listened to the Joe Budden podcast earlier today, and he said something that's very real. Sometimes you get podcast block. It's not a lot to talk about. So we would love for you guys to always throw us topics and let us discuss what y'all want us to talk about. You know what I mean? Week to week is not always something for Smitty and I to come up with. So we do the best we can, but please, you guys are welcome to throw the topics at us each and every week and come on the show. But I've talked too much, guys. 3 minutes over. We need to go ahead and close it. Thank everybody for coming out. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.